Two earthquakes, each around a magnitude of 3, shook parts of western Washington today. The most recent one, near Falls City, occurred just after noon. In the past 24 hours, seismic activity along the West Coast has shown a noticeable increase, with numerous small tremors occurring across California and beyond. A 3.9 magnitude earthquake struck the greater Los Angeles area, particularly in North Hollywood, shaking communities as far as Palmdale and Lancaster. This event, along with a sequence of smaller aftershocks, may provide further evidence of an unnamed fault in the region, potentially confirming its existence. Despite the magnitude of the earthquake, the official review process took longer than expected, raising questions about procedural delays. Seismic events of this scale are typically assessed promptly to refine their magnitudes, given that initial automated readings may vary from the final confirmed value. Regardless, the 3.9 magnitude remains unchanged, suggesting it has been thoroughly evaluated. The increased seismic activity extends beyond Southern California. Northern California has also experienced heightened movement, while the Pacific Northwest, particularly near Seattle, has seen notable activity along the Devil's Mountain Fault. This widespread pattern suggests a broader regional shift rather than isolated tectonic stress. Additionally, movement along the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault has been detected, though no significant activity has been recorded along its more concerning sections, such as the Parkfield segment. Historically, this area experiences a magnitude 6.0 earthquake approximately every 20 to 22 years, indicating that the region may be approaching another event within this cycle. With stress continuing to build in various fault zones, monitoring remains critical. Areas such as the Malibu Coast Fault and the Puente Hills Thrust Fault, which have been relatively quiet, are now beginning to exhibit signs of renewed activity. Given the interconnected nature of tectonic pressures, even minor tremors in these areas could contribute to increased stress on the San Andreas Fault system. While no immediate signs indicate a major earthquake is imminent, the current seismic pattern underscores the importance of continued vigilance in earthquake-prone regions. Seismic activity across the West Coast continues to show a shifting pattern, with Northern California experiencing a notable increase in movement. A series of earthquakes, including a 3.6 and a 3.3, have been recorded in the region, indicating an uptick in tectonic stress. While the Bay Area remains relatively quiet, this rising activity further north suggests a broader trend of seismic adjustments. Moving beyond California, a magnitude 4.5 earthquake struck near the San Juan Islands National Monument in Washington. This event, which occurred just north of the Devil's Mountain Fault, was widely felt across the region, from Seattle to Vancouver. The tremor is part of an ongoing pattern of increased seismicity in the Seattle Fault Zone, an area capable of producing earthquakes as large as magnitude 7.5. Though the exact fault responsible for this event remains uncertain, its depth of approximately 9 miles suggests it may not be directly linked to the Cascadia subduction zone, but rather to localized stress fractures in the crust. Washington's seismic landscape is complex, with a dense network of fault systems running beneath and around Seattle. The precise origin of this latest quake remains unclear, as fault maps do not indicate a major structure directly beneath the epicenter. However, the region has experienced numerous surface fractures recently, signaling accumulating strain that could influence nearby faults. Further monitoring will be necessary to determine whether this event is part of a larger seismic sequence. The aftershock forecast for this earthquake provides estimates of continued activity, though predictive models remain uncertain. Past events such as the 2019 Ridgecrest earthquake sequence in California demonstrated the unpredictability of aftershocks, with a magnitude 6.44 shock followed by a magnitude 7.1 main shock just a day later. Forecast models at the time underestimated the likelihood of such a significant event, underscoring the challenges of seismic prediction. The broader West Coast continues to exhibit an uneven distribution of earthquake activity. While Southern and Northern California have seen increased movement, central regions, including much of Oregon, remain relatively quiet. However, slow slip tremor activity along the Cascadia subduction zone has shown periodic amplification over the past month, particularly at its southern and northern edges. This deep tremor does not produce surface shaking, but serves as an indicator of strain accumulation along the megathrust fault. As stress continues to build in various regions, careful observation of these seismic trends remains crucial for assessing potential future activity. Seismic activity in the Vancouver region has shown intriguing patterns, particularly north of the city, where a magnitude 4.8 earthquake struck on the 21st. This event coincided with a cluster of deep tremor activity, suggesting a possible connection between the two. If this earthquake was indeed influenced by the underlying tremor, it indicates that the area remains tightly locked and continues to accumulate strain that has been building since the last major rupture in 1700, over 325 years ago. One noticeable trend is the frequent occurrence of earthquakes following episodes of elevated tremor. Whenever tremor activity intensifies, seismic events tend to follow, reinforcing the idea that stress redistribution within the subduction zone is playing a critical role. While the past week has seen relative quiet in the northern section, with most of the recent activity concentrated in the southern end, the absence of earthquakes does not imply a lack of pressure. The Cascadia subduction zone remains a highly stressed region, influenced not only by its locked megathrust fault, but also by the broader movement of the North American plate and other regional fault systems. A closer look at seismic patterns in this area reveals an unmistakable increase in activity. Some may argue that earthquakes occur randomly, but from a geological perspective, patterns emerge over time. When viewed on a regional scale, rather than through the narrow lens of individual events, an escalation in minor seismic activity becomes evident. This buildup is reminiscent of what has been observed in Southern California, where a period of heightened earthquake activity, including multiple magnitude 4 events, has historically preceded larger quakes. Similarly, the Seattle-Tacoma-Olympia corridor has experienced persistent seismic unrest, raising concerns about underlying stress accumulation. While this does not necessarily signal an imminent rupture of the Cascadia subduction zone, it does highlight the growing strain on faults capable of producing damaging earthquakes. Further north, into Canada, inland areas have also exhibited signs of increased movement. While not all of this activity is directly tied to Cascadia, it reflects a region under considerable tectonic pressure. Unlike other fault zones that produce smaller quakes leading up to major events, Cascadia behaves differently. When it ultimately ruptures, whether in a full margin magnitude 9.0 event or a partial break, it does so in a single catastrophic release of energy. There are few warning signs in the form of moderate quakes. Instead, the system remains locked until it suddenly gives way. Signs of strain continue to emerge inland, with tremor activity serving as a key indicator of ongoing tectonic stress. Eventually, this strain could lead to a significant seismic event along the Cascadia subduction zone. Seismic activity remains persistent in the Texas oil fields, with recent tremors detected just outside the New Madrid seismic zone, registering at magnitudes 2.1 and 1.8. The history of this region serves as a stark reminder of its potential for devastating earthquakes. The infamous 1811 to 1812 New Madrid earthquake sequence unleashed a series of massive shocks, with estimates placing their magnitudes in the mid to upper 7 range. If a similar event were to occur today, the destruction would be catastrophic. Unlike the fault systems in California, where slip rates are high and movement accumulates steadily over time, stress in this region builds much more gradually. It can take centuries for strain to reach a breaking point. While the last major event occurred over 200 years ago, the precise timing of the next rupture remains uncertain. Over the past 30 days, earthquake activity has been concentrated north of Memphis, with 16 recorded events, fewer than the 30 to 40 tremors observed in December. Seismologists, including experts like Dr. Lucy Jones, emphasize that an increase in moderate quakes ranging from magnitude 3 to 4 can often indicate a rising probability of a larger event. This pattern is currently playing out, making it crucial to stay alert to any further developments. As conditions continue to evolve, both atmospheric and seismic activity demand close observation.